The third lecture, 2014, was on road safety and Nigerian development, the urgency of now, and it was presented by our own temporary professor, Ogun, Appearance Manager, Federal Institute of the Department of Geography and Regional Planning, Oludele Ojediran. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, our fourth lecture was in 2015 and was titled Reflection on the Liberating Power of the African Private Sector. It was presented by Mr. Oludele Ojediran, the Chief Coordinator of Oludele Presidential Library. The fifth lecture was in 2016, which was on urbanization, physical planning, and economic growth, leveraging the value chain as a strategy for national development. It was presented by Professor of the Department of Urban and Regional Planning at University. Can you see how we reach lecture series on the round of applause for this lecture series? The sixth lecture was in 2019. It was on food security in Nigeria, the impetus for growth and development, and was presented by Professor NITP, a professor of production and environmental economics of the agricultural economy and farm management department, Federal University of Agriculture, where in Abeokuta. The seventh lecture, 2021, and was presented, and the theme was the future of journalism and democracy in Nigeria. And it was presented by the late Professor Lai Osho of the Mass Communication Department, Lagos State University. The eighth lecture was the future of urban planning in Nigeria, rethinking planning education and practice. And it was presented by Professor Taibas Olaitolawas, Fellow of the Institute of the Department of Urban Planning and Governance, University of Lagos, Nigeria. The ninth lecture was in 2023, and it was on the nexus between physical plan and national plan. And this beautiful lecture was partly presented by Professor Sherifudeen Adewale of the Department of Economics, Faculty of Social Sciences, Oludele University, Agboibo. The 10th lecture was on town plans, sustainable development, and nature building by Professor Waheed SAN, the Vice Chancellor, University of Ilorin in Kwara State. A round of applause for our past lecturers. And last year, the 11th lecture was on global trends, reimagining cities for sustainable development and shared prosperity by Oludele Ojediran, the chairman of Nigerian Economic Summit Group and managing partners in Lagos. Ladies and gentlemen, we are here for a better time today as we have our 12th lecture on designing safer Nigeria, engineering planning, and the fight against insecurity. Ladies and gentlemen, the guest speaker is none other than Professor Engineer Jeremiah Oludele Ojediran, FNSSE, FNIAE, the Vice Chancellor, the best professor of technology, only the best. Are you here? Only the best. Ladies and gentlemen, please appreciate yourself one more time. Joining us is the boxer of Moshood Abiola Polytechnic in Abeokuta. Presenting is Mrs. Folashade Madarela, fellow Chartered Accountant. Round of applause, Ladies and gentlemen, it's now time to listen to the welcome address of the chapter chairman, Samana Olushola Adetayo, fellow of his area.
Thank you very much, Tyler.
Ladies and gentlemen, we You're all welcome to the church and Waheed Kadiri Lecture. I want to welcome distinguished guests, especially United Personalities, the Bible Commissioner, Minister of Government and Development, representatives of government and sisters professions, past presidents seated, past presidents and presidents of our universities, esteemed colleagues, ladies and gentlemen. It is with profound honor and sense of professional responsibility that I welcome you to the church edition of the Waheed Kadiri Lecture. Permit me to extend a very warm and special welcome to our distinguished guest speakers, Prof. Oludele Ojediran, the Vice Chancellor of Prof University of Technology Ogun. Sir, we are deeply honored by your presence and look for your willingness to share the knowledge and leadership experiences of some. Your professional level of Nigeria's foremost technology training places you at the intersection of engineering innovation, research advancement, and sustainable development. Perspectives that are invaluable to the theme of today's lecture. This year's theme, Designing Safer Nigeria, Engineering, Plan, and the Fight Against Insecurity, is both prompt and compelling. It speaks directly into one of the most pressing challenges confronting our nation today. Security is no longer in the domain of armed forces and law enforcement agencies. Increasingly, the way we design our cities, structure our communities, distribute land uses, and engineer infrastructure significantly influences safety outcomes. Poorly planned settlements, unregulated urban expansion, inadequate infrastructure, and weak special protection often put the environment at big crimes and social fraud. As planners, we carry a very sacred responsibility to design spaces that deter crime, promote social cohesion, enhance natural surveillance, improve accessibility, and foster inclusive development. Through integrated planning system, resilient infrastructure design, smart technologies, and evidence-based spatial strategies, we can contribute meaningfully to building a safer Nigeria. This lecture series, the 12th one, is dedicated to Oludele Ojediran, whose professional life is discipline, vision, and dedication to advancing planning practice and education in Nigeria. That is Waheed Kadiri, a fellow of the Institute and a past president of Nigerian Ambulance. Kadiri's enduring legacy lies in an unwavering commitment to strengthening the professionalism. His efforts helped nurture generations of planners who are technically sound, ethically grounded, and socially responsible. Indeed, the theme of the 12th lecture aligns seamlessly with his lifelong advocacy for structured, disciplined, and forward-thinking economic practice. A safer Nigeria will not emerge by chance. It will be deliberately designed. It requires constructive collaboration between planners, engineers, academics, policymakers, and security stakeholders. It demands innovation, research, sound regulation, and unwavering professional integrity. As we begin today's lecture, may our decisions generate practical solutions and inspire stronger collaboration across disciplines. Let us plan on continuing to serve as a beacon for intellectual engagement, professional excellence, and national development. On behalf of the Executive Committee and the entire members of the Research Chapter, I warmly welcome you all and wish you a most productive and impactful Waheed Kadiri Lecture. Thank you for your presence. God bless Chancellor, Government of the State, and Protect of Nigeria. Thank you.
Round of applause, please.
Thank you, Chancellor.
Permit me to appreciate you for what you did in the last chapter, where you ensured that all members of this chapter is devoted to this course, is devoted to the Waheed Kadiri Lecture Series by having an annual subscription level to all members, so that this lecture series will continue and continue. A round of applause for our chapter chairman.
Joining us at this 12th edition of the Waheed Kadiri Lecture Series is past Council Chair of Lions Club International, ladies and gentlemen, Lion Dr. Teslim Shamsi OFR. I think I have to join this club. I hope to free of charge. Because there will not be very one hero. Ladies and gentlemen, we have the man who has been anchoring this lecture series from 1.0 to 12.0, please come forward. Ladies and gentlemen, for your awareness, please celebrate Tampana Oladojoye, solely with Aladojoye, fellow communities. Those on demand have been piloting the affairs of this series from the beginning to this, as the chairman of the lecture series, where I also been the secretary. Ladies and gentlemen, a retired lecturer of Ogun Polytechnic, the Department of Water Regional Planning. We want to use this opportunity to appreciate all our fellows from Lagos State Chapter. Ladies and gentlemen, please celebrate Lagos State Chapter fellows and meetings. I can see our president, past president, the Waterfall, fellows of the people of Lagos. Thank you for honoring our doing. All the mentees of the celebrants, thank you. We appreciate you. God bless you upon that. Ladies and gentlemen, Ogun State is proud to have the celebrants as a son son. And we look at this program today, we will be listening to keynote addresses from our guests of honor. If you look at the agenda, we have keynote addresses from Tampana Akola, Tampana Olamide Fellow of the Institute, Architect Dr. Oyejo. But seated right now is a man at the last phrase of Julius Caesar, very vividly represents, spent his life judiciously in a popular state that we all know. He came to the States, he saw and he conquered. Ladies and gentlemen, as our guest of honor, he happens to be the fourth honorable commissioner in our ministry, the Ministry of Physical Planning and Urban Development of State. And arguably is still the best of all. I am not here to read his profile. I'm only telling you what he has done. And you agree with me, we will celebrate this man with you. Ladies and gentlemen, when he came, he made an on-spot assessment to all of the cities of town planning in the state to study their challenges and the opportunities that we have. Under his watch, he facilitated the unbundling of the defunct Urban and Regional Planning Board. And we now have 3 enforcement agencies, namely Planning Development Permit Authority, Slum Regeneration Authority, and Building Production and Management Authority around Gosford. Not only that, in meanwhile, a new principal law, and we have 5 astounding regulations along with this law. Before, we only have 1 department or 2 at the ministry. He created 10 additional departments in the ministry and also expanded the zonal planning from 20 to 32. Ladies and gentlemen, through his principal and of course the World Bank, so now businesses in Ogun State are fully automated, fully equipped. We have 24 hours power supply, we have 15 kVA generator, we have internet facilities in all our zonal areas. We need to take a visit to the nearest planning office around you and see the state of the health facility in that area. I challenge you to visit Chagam Zonal Planning Office and see the wonders of this land and get of honor. Ladies and gentlemen, it is historic in Ogun State that town plans, PPS plans, local plans, structure plans for cities in Ogun State around the world. When we talk about the juveniles in the field of policy formulation, urban planning and advocacy, please look no further. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you the 11th National Secretary of our Institute, who happens to be our Honorary Commissioner of the Military Staff and Apology, Oludele Ojediran.
I give glory to the God Almighty for the privilege of being alive today to witness this event. But I'll start first by recognizing the celebrator of today, our own Alhaji Waheed Kadiri, FNITP, PPNITP, and his amiable consort, Alhaja. I'd like to congratulate Oga Kadiri on turning 75 in the next 2 days. Somebody said Diamond Jubilee. Another one said Golden Jubilee. Well, 70 is platinum, and it's past 70. So I don't know what you want to call that. Go and research and see what you call a 75-year-old man. You need to celebrate because you are alive, you are well, and you are very sprightly. Not many 75-year-olds will be as sharp and sprightly as you are. Wọ́n dẹ̀ ní bílé bá san ní àwòláwò ẹnìkan ló ń ṣiṣẹ́ yẹn o. And so I want to thank Alhaja for taking care of our Oga, our mentor, our brother. Ọwọ́ ní kú yín o. Ẹ lóra yín pẹ́pẹ́pẹ́pẹ́ o. When we'll be celebrating 100, I will be here. All of us will be here. Congratulations, Oga.
I also want to recognize the guest speaker of today, Professor Jeremiah Oludele Ojediran, FNSSE, FNIAE, the Vice Chancellor of Bells University of Technology, Ota, and your entourage. Thank you for taking time out of your very busy schedule to be here to celebrate our brother, our guy, and our friend. I want to recognize all past presidents of the Nigerian Institute of Town Planners that are gathered here today. I can see two of them, Town Planner Toyin Ayinde, FNITP, PPNITP, Town Planner Nathaniel Atebije, FNITP, PPNITP. Especially Town Planner Atebije, who came all the way from Abuja, is a friend to this state chapter. I can't remember anything that this chapter did in the last 1 or 2 years that he didn't show up. Thank you, Town Planner Atebije. I also want to recognize all distinguished fellows of the Nigerian Institute of Town Planners that are gathered here today. You are all very much welcome. Recognizing Alhaji Yusuf, who was my Oga in Lagos, and the current president of the Building Collapse Prevention Guild, Alhaji Ekabasa. Also, the brand new president of our TopCon, HOB, Hakim Badejo, fellow of the Nigerian Institute of Town Planners. All friends and well-wishers that are gathered here today, my colleagues, good morning. Well, maybe people who came from Lagos didn't take their breakfast before they left. Yeah, sorry, Emma Binu. Good morning. Better. Well, I was reading through the program, and then the MC himself said that I'm going to give an address. Well, he is just saying that one here. I was not given any advance notice. I'll be given any address. In any case, what is the need of an address in a gathering like this? I think all we need to do is to come and listen to the lecture and take 1 or 2 things away from there. But since he has said so, I think what I'll just do is what I'll call just a brief remarks. Let me first of all start by all those things that the MC mentioned. And I always push it back to people to say that a tree can be big in a forest, but a tree does not make a forest. If it's a tree, it remains a tree. But if it's a forest, that means there are so many trees, and of course, one can be the king tree, but that single tree does not make a forest. So whatever we have done in Ogun State, including all the embellishments that he added, are the products of all staff of the Ministry of Physical Planning and Urban Development, Ogun State, and agencies, and of course, the vision and leadership of our governor, Prince Dapo Abiodun, CON, MFR. So, but I want to thank him for the mention of some of those things that we are proud of. Well, today is the 12th edition of Waheed Kadiri's annual lecture. It has become a routine that every year we gather here to have a lecture. But it's also not a routine, because every year, erudite and eminent people have been brought here to come and speak to us on various topics across the broad spectrum of human endeavor. And that is why, although it's a ritual every year, it is not a ritual because something new comes up every year. And that's why I'd like to appreciate the guest speaker of today, the Vice Chancellor of Best University, for his topic for today, Designing Safer Nigeria, Engineering, Planning, and the Fight Against Insecurity. This topic could not have come at a better time in the history of our country, Nigeria. Banditry, terrorism, kidnapping for ransom, even murder and other lesser crimes are being committed every day. And a lot has been attached to the issue of either lack of planning or bad physical planning that has made it easy for people to occupy ungoverned spaces. So I want to encourage all of us to listen attentively to this lecture and pick one or two things from there today to enrich our practice, to enrich our environment, so that we can begin to live safer cities, safer communities in the entire geographical space of Nigeria. Now, I would have loved to be here, and I think it pains me that I may not be here to listen to the lecture. You know, this is a politics season now. I'm wearing the political cap now. There are so many meetings to be held. So I want to apologize that I will not be able to stay long with all of us here to enjoy this lecture. But like I said, I want to implore all of us to please listen carefully. This is a very germane and very important topic at this time in the life of our nation. We in Ogun State have been doing the best that we can in this particular, on this particular issue. Many of our regulations have dealt with the issue of urban security in terms of the provisions for street cameras to be on our high streets, on commercial buildings. We have made it mandatory now that every plot of land that is more than 1 hectare, you have to do layouts for them so that our streets, our communities can be more accessible for so many things, for police, for the fire service, and for other emergency needs. And I want to commit this to all other parts of our country, Nigeria, that there's a need for us to start rethinking planning, to make our plans more responsive to the demands of today, such that planners will become more relevant, will become first points of contact before anybody does any physical development. On that note, I want to once again congratulate the celebrator of today, our own Alhaji Waheed Kadiri, fellow of the Nigerian Institute of Town Planners, past president of the NITP, for again witnessing the 12th lecture while you are still alive. I pray that God will grant you longer life to witness more of these lectures in the name of Jesus. For those of you who are here, if this lecture does not expand too long, take time to go around our city Abeokuta is, and generally Ogun State is one of the safest states, city in Nigeria. Go around, we are laid back, we are not in a hurry. We do our things deliberately to achieve the desired result. Once again, you are welcome to Ogun State. You are welcome to Abeokuta. Have a very wonderful day today. God bless you.
Thank you, the Honorable Commissioner, Ministry of Physical Planning and Urban Development of Ogun State. A round of applause one more time, please. While I invite the next speaker for his goodwill message, permit me to quickly recognize the entourage of the guest speaker, Professor Ojediran. Ladies and gentlemen, from the Bells University of Technology, Ota, we have the Dean of Environmental Sciences, Dr. Atinuke Orekon. A round of applause for him. Dr. Atinuke Orekon, where are you, please? The Deputy Dean of Postgraduate School, ladies and gentlemen, Town Planner Dr. David Ogun. We know him very well. Ladies and gentlemen, the head of Department Urban and Regional Planning, that's our own department in our university, Dr. O.P. Akipelu. Baba Jeje. Ladies and gentlemen, the head of Department Quantity Surveying, Dr. A.A. Ajayi. Where are you? We also have Dr. K.A. Oyewole from the Department of Urban and Regional Planning. From the HOD Surveying and Geoinformatics, Dr. G.O. Ode. Where are you? Thank you. Department of Urban and Regional Planning, Mr. Gbadebo, S.O. Department of Urban and Regional Planning, Ms. Oti Akinlolu. And of course, the Department of Surveying, Mrs. A. Abubakar. Ladies and gentlemen, celebrate the best University of Technology. The Honorable Commissioner had done most of my job in introducing our guest visitors and invited guests. Please celebrate my Honorable Commissioner, please. When the Doyen was 70 years old, a group of friends came together to have a birthday dialogue in his honor. And a paper was presented titled Ethics in Professional Practice, the Future of Town Planning. Presented by one of our finest town planner, author, and social commentator of high repute, one-time chairman of Lagos State Chapter, Ebang Patewo Funwon. The 15th National Secretary of our institute, the 24th National President of NITP, the Honorable Commissioner, under Babatunde Raji Fashola, and of course, the current National Vice President of APBN. Ladies and gentlemen, please celebrate Town Planner Prince Olutoyin Adedamola Ayinde, fellow of the Institute, for his goodwill message. Thank you so much, sir.
Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I recall in 2001 when, as the Nigerian Institute of Town Planners Council, we visited Aso Rock to see the president. And a lot of accolades were poured on President Obasanjo then. And then when it was his time to speak, he said, you see, all those things that you mentioned, now dash, then dash me. The one that sticks with me is Olusegun Obasanjo. So whatever he has mentioned anywhere about Toyin Ayinde, the one that sticks with me is Toyin Ayinde. Today, I am caught in an intersection of two seniors. One is a senior from high school, and the other is a senior in the profession. And those who know both of them very well will be able to relate with the way I behave or the way I speak. Professor Jeremiah Ojediran was my senior in Baptist High School, Jos. Wow. And we were in that school when the school was still being run by the American Baptist Convention, where we were taught principles of integrity, honesty, and hard work. And I'm sure that those in Bears University can testify that those attributes are deposited in him. Let me announce that nobody is collecting money for clapping. So if you want to clap, you should clap. Thank you. Town Planner Waheed Kadiri is not just a senior in the profession, he's a role model in the profession. And there are those of us who are not privileged to be paying students under him. When I say paying students, those are students that attended Moshood Abiola Polytechnic and paid to be lectured by him. Some of us are his students naturally, following him, following his footsteps. And today, I want to congratulate you, sir, for witnessing another of the series of lectures. When something is done first time, you may think it's by chance. When it is done the second time, you may say, well, they are trying. When it is being done the 12th time, it has become a brand. So over the years, this lecture series has become a brand that many of us create space for, even when we are busy. I'm aware that some people are here for reunion, and therefore, they are distracting the rest of us. I'd like to say that I'm hoping to leave here better, because incidentally, I have one of my directors here, Tamplana Kunle Shonariwo, with whom we worked on the location of CCTV cameras in Lagos State. You remember? That was a project that was funded by the federal government of Nigeria, 1,000 CCTV cameras in Abuja, 1,000 CCTV cameras in Lagos State. His department was in charge of the locations, the aesthetic finish, because for us then, when they dig that space, if there was landscape there, they must replace the landscape. So it was his department that oversaw that exercise. However, If you want to clap, clap for him. That's service to the public. However, after that exercise was completed, the federal government refused to power the base station till date. So the cameras became as good as a blind man who opened his eyes but couldn't see anything, because nothing was being received at the base station. And every one of us is more than 10 years off the service of Lagos State, and we're still in that position. So it's going to be interesting to listen to this lecture and hoping that Nigeria will be better for it. I want to congratulate the organizers for bringing us here again, in spite of the crisis we had on the road from Lagos to Abeokuta. It's not traffic, it's crisis, and a serious one. So anyone who arrived here, I congratulate you for coming, and I wish you have a nice time. God bless you.
A round of applause one more time, please. In the line of recognition, all lecturers from Olabisi Onabanjo University, please be upstanding as we recognize you, please. All lecturers for Olabisi Onabanjo University, please, a round of applause for them. Dr. F.J. Ogunleye, Department of Urban and Regional Planning, the best university, where are you? Dr. F.J. Ogunleye, thank you so much for coming out. The convener went to Ikeja Grammar School, and he left in 1968. That's your old school, right? But today joining us is the National President and Vice President of Ikeja Grammar School Old Student Association. Ladies and gentlemen, please celebrate them, the President and the Vice President of Ikeja Old Student Association. Ikeja Grammar School Old Student Association. The convener happens to be the chairman and board of trustees of that association. Please celebrate the convener, please. Before I invite the successor to Tambratoya Inde, please permit me to quickly bring to the top table, and of course to this microphone, our special guests of honor. The Waheed Kadiri Lecture started right there in Moshood Abiola Polytechnic with the first lecture. And we are pleased to welcome a man whose academic journey is a symbol of motivation to all and sundry. You will agree with me, his journey as I present as follows. OND, Moshood Abiola Polytechnic. HND, Moshood Abiola Ebameka. But then it was Ogun State Polytechnic. Am I right? Yes. But now, Moshood Abiola Polytechnic. He looked at his life and said, I need to transform my journey. He went to Ahmadu Bello University, Zaria, for his BSc and, of course, his MSc. And later, his PhD from Federal University of Technology, Akure. A round of applause for him, please. But interestingly, he came back to his alma mater, where he started from, Ogun State Polytechnic, and he was employed as a lecturer. One, he became a chief lecturer, where? In Ojeri. He became two-time head of Department of Architecture, Ojeri. He became two-time Director of School, where in Ojeri. Ladies and gentlemen, celebrate the guest of honor, Architect Dr. Babatunde Adekoye Jola Osho, Fellow of the Institute of Architecture. Please, the mic is yours right now. Ẹ bá mi gbé wọn dìde ẹ jọ̀ọ́. A round of applause for the Rector, Moshood Abiola Polytechnic.
Sir, let me confess, this is an ambush. I don't know how, when, and where to start from. But I see it as an ambush, but a positive and successful one. Thank you so much. I thought I would just sit down quietly, like I just did. I never knew that a coup has been successfully hatched and executed. My elders, starting from Dr. Otiem Salisu and my mother with him there. I take him as a point of reference to recognize and embrace one and all in that category. My mother, my sister, my friend, Alaja Fatima Kadiri, and my role model, my teacher, my father, my brother, my companion. I send the same courtesy to my brother friend, the Vice Chancellor, Professor Jeremiah Ojediran. With this, my colleagues, my friends, my brothers, sisters from another mother, I also quickly recognize the Registrar of Bells, the custodian of my daughter in their custody. Presently, my daughter teaches at Bells. I think I have to thank God that this seed, one and all, had sown is germinating to this level. This forum that we are in, it gives me a great joy and an incentive for doing good. Ali Jazaul Insan, Ila Insan. This is the product of this hire that was sown from infant to one and all. It depends on how one and all takes it and imbibe it in life. Otherwise, you have counted one till where we're here. We started so humbling and see where we are today. We thank God, we glorify God. Why are we not going to be happy? Seeing this coming, Baba mi, aku orire. Iya mi, aku orire. Alhamdulillah, Rabbil Alamin.
Takbir. We thank God, Almighty Allah, for the life of our doyen and past presidents. Ladies and gentlemen, in the line of goodwill address, please permit me to welcome my president. I served under him as ex-officio 4 of the Institute. Cool, calm, and collected. The 21st National Secretary of the Nigerian Institute of Town Planners, and of course, the 25th National President of NITP. Ladies and gentlemen, Town Planner Dr. Nathaniel Mahmoud Atebije, Fellow of the Institute, past President of the Institute.
The celebrant, our guest speaker, and chapter chairman, past president, fellows of the Institute, distinguished professional colleagues. I'm sure all of you will know and accept that I am from Ogun State. I say that because I need no visa to come here, because it is a second home. I enjoy the activities of this chapter because they are proactive, professional, dedicated, committed to the service of humanity through urban and regional planning. I wouldn't have spoken again because my predecessor has spoken, and to say the same thing might simply be laborious. But my people will say that hearing the same thing does not injure the ear. It only helps you to remember more. Last year, when I was privileged to be here, I said that coming for this program is like pilgrimage. And as much as God will help you to afford, it is injurious to your professional life not to be or not to come to this pilgrimage. So it is a delight for me to be part of this pilgrimage again this year. That is to reveal, because when you go for pilgrimage, there are new revelations of God. There are new understandings about God that you get from that place. And so I believe that this pilgrimage this year again will give us an opportunity to have new discoveries, more understanding about the role we have to play in the society, making the human environment and human settlements more livable. I cannot talk much more about the celebrants again because the lessons to learn from him are more than can be contained in a volume of a book. Not talking about the humility, not talking about the quality of knowledge, information, and experience, but somebody who is like the power bank, that with him, your power of knowledge and understanding cannot easily fail. It is a privilege to be here. I thank the planning committee chairman and the members of his team for holding forth. May God increase your strength. And those of you that have been dedicated to this program, please never miss it. As long as you continue to come, there is much more for you to learn. Let us proclaim and publicize the gospel of planning so that the world will return to the order that God created it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, my president. In the line of introduction, as we move closer to the reasons why we are here, please celebrate past district governor, Engineer Oyewole Oyewumi and spouse. A round of applause for them. Past district governor, Lion Olasukomi Ologundudu. A round of applause for them. District Governor 404B3, Lion Adelaja Adeleye, a round of applause for him, please. The Registrar, Federal College of Education, Iwo, Osun State, Alhaji Mugisu Yusuf, please a round of applause for him, please. Thank you for coming all the way from Iwo. The Head of Department, Urban and Regional Planning, University of Lagos, Associate Professor Taufik Yonda Salau, Fellow of the Institute, a round of applause for him, please. Former Head of Department, Urban and Regional Planning, Olabisi Onabanjo, University of Agowe, Dr. Dada Olarewaju, a round of applause, please. All members and representatives of Dawa Front of Nigeria. Ladies and gentlemen, please rise and be recognized. All members of Dawa Front Nigeria, supporter of the convener. A round of applause for them, please. Dawa Front, Alhaji Kazim Alabi, thank you so much. The wife of Professor Lai Osho, Mrs. Lai Osho, please, where are you? Please, you are celebrated. Mrs. Lai Osho. Mrs. Lai Osho, we can see you, please. Thank you for honoring us. Nurse Adeniji Alaja Kozim Alabi of Dawa Front, thank you. All lecturers and head of the Department of Moshood Abiola Polytechnic, the Department of Urban and Regional Planning, please be upstanding, please. All lecturers, staffs, Moshood Abiola Polytechnic. Thank you so much. All members from Oyo State Chapter, Lagos State Chapter, Osun State Chapter, you are all recognized. Please decorum in the hall. Ladies and gentlemen, from the Ministry of Physical Planning and Urban Development, we have the Permanent Secretary here with us. Ladies and gentlemen, Engineer Shakiruddin Abdusalam. Please, a round of applause for him, please. Engineer Shakiruddin Salam, thank you, our Oga. Member Governing Council, Moshood Abiola Polytechnic, Dr. Kushimo and wife, please, you are recognized. A round of applause for them. Thank you. Dr. Salisu and wife, where are you? Dr. Salisu and wife, you are recognized. A round of applause for them, please. You are welcome, sir. You are welcome, sir. Lion Teslim Shanusi, where are you? Lion Teslim Shanusi. A round of applause for Baba. Hello. Dr. and Mrs. T.M. Salisu, Nasfat Ota, you are all welcome. PID, H.O.B. Lawal, you are all recognized. Thank you so much for coming. From the University of Ibadan, Professor Bolanle Wahab, you are welcome. A round of applause for him, please. With the kind permission of the convener, I would like to invite Lion Teslim Shanusi to please come forward, sir. The oldest man in this hall right now. A round of applause for Baba. Baba is 83 and counting. A round of applause for for Lion Teslim. Bàbá ẹ jẹ́ fún yín microphone, ẹ lè sọ̀rọ̀ láti bẹ̀.
Well, good afternoon. Good afternoon. Somebody said, you don't pray for clapping. Please clap for me. Thank you very much. I can see the day is gone, so I will not waste your time. All I will say here is that certainly TIP Kadiri has shown popularity by the quality and quantity of the guests here. It is his character, because that is the brand for which is known. So I will not bore you with a long speech. At this age of 83, we are advised to say a lot of prayers, because we're already in what I call a departure hall. I pray that the transport taking us will be long delayed. And while we are still alive, let me pray that as we celebrate, I was here to celebrate you when you were president of this institute. I'm delighted to be here to celebrate you at the 12th anniversary of that presidency. And I fervently pray that, inshallah, in Jesus' name, I shall be here to celebrate you at 90. Thank you.
Hello? Hello? We want decorum in this hall. We want to appreciate those on Zoom right now. We have over 40 participants on Zoom. Thank you for joining us. We are live now on Zoom. Please, we want decorum in the hall. Ladies and gentlemen, Professor Wale Alade, former HOD, Urban and Regional Planning, University of Lagos, is here. A round of applause for him, please. The wife of the first guest speaker of this series, the wife of Professor the wife of Professor Samuel Babatunde Agbola, fellow of the Institute, is here. Mommy, thank you so much for coming. Thank you so much. The wife of the Emeritus Professor of Urban and Regional Planning, Professor Tamplana Samuel Agbola, fellow of the Institute. Now is the time while we are here. That's Mrs. Agbola. A round of applause for her, please. Our humble regards to the Emeritus Professor of Urban and Regional Planning, Professor Samuel Babatunde Agbola, fellow of the Institute.
Design safer Nigeria, Nigerian private and the fight against insecurity. With the power of the microphone, if we are still murmuring, this lecture will not begin. It is with all sense of humility that I bid the guest speaker to please be upstanding. A round of applause for the guest speaker, please. Professor Jeremiah Oludele Ojediran, a native of Ogbomoso in Oyo State, was born several years before independence. As you have rightly heard, he was born in Jos, Plateau State. He had his secondary school education at the prestigious Baptist High School, Jos, in 1969. He later proceeded to the Federal Government College, Sokoto, and obtained his higher school or certificate in 1975. Please celebrate our guest speaker. He obtained his BSc Agricultural Engineering degree from the University of Ibadan and proceeded on government scholarship to Silso College, Cranfield, in Bedfordshire, United Kingdom, for his MSc Agricultural Engineering degree and later his PhD in Agricultural Engineering. A round of applause for the guest speaker. Professor Ojediran started his academic career at the College of Engineering, the Polytechnic Sokoto, now Waziri Umaru Polytechnic, Benin-Kebbi, as assistant lecturer and rose to the position of principal lecturer in 1980. While at that polytechnic, he held several positions as follows: acting head, dean, Department of Agricultural Mechanization, acting dean, School of Engineering, acting head, Department of Irrigation Engineering, acting director, College of Engineering, and member Polytechnic Central Executive Committee. Engineer Professor Ojediran has had fruitful and eventful academic career, starting from his appointment as lecturer 1 at Ladoke Akitola University of Ogbomoso, and also a senior lecturer and of course the professor of agricultural engineering in Ladoke Akitola University of Ogbomoso. A round of applause for him, please. It will take me 5 hours to finish his profile. But ladies and gentlemen, Professor Ojediran is a COREN registered engineer and has served in the following universities and as a visiting professor while on sabbatical and his leave: University of Development Studies, Tamale, Ghana; Landmark University, Omuaran, Kwara State; and of course, Adeleke University in Nede, Oshuti. A round of applause for the Vice Chancellor. Engineer Professor Jeremiah Ojediran has received several distinctions and awards like Federal Government Scholarship, the Nigerian British Technical Corporation Fellowship Award for Postgraduate Studies, French and Nigerian Technical Corporation Fellowship Award for Professional Advancement, Distinguished Service Award for the year 2006, the Nigerian Society of Engineers Ibadan Branch, award from the Faculty of Engineering and Technology Leadership Award, Lautech Ogbomoso, and several other awards to his credit. A round of applause for him. A consummate professional, researcher, teacher, Professor Ojediran believes in providing opportunities for professional growth for all, especially in engineering. He has also mentored many professionals today. Engineer Professor Jeremiah Oludele Ojediran, after a positively impactful tenure, is currently in his second term as the Vice Chancellor, Best University of Technology, the first
private university of technology in Nigeria. Only the best, only the best. The Signing Safer Nigeria, engineering, planning, and fight against insecurity. Ladies and gentlemen, I present the guest speaker, Professor Jeremiah Oludele Ojediran, Vice Chancellor, the best University of Technology.
Thank you very much. Please be seated. It's okay. I'll be all right. Well, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, let me first and foremost thank the MC for hiding so many things in there. I was afraid I was going to let the cat out of the bag. Thank you for keeping strictly to our rules. Permit me also, I do not stand on protocols, because protocol might collapse. I'm always afraid to sit on protocol because it might also give way. So more often than not, I either embrace or romance protocol. Just choose one. So distinguished ladies and gentlemen, let me join every other person here today to recognize the chairman, NITP Ogun State. And thank you very much for peeping into part of my write-up. All past chairmen here present, those who have been introduced, council members of the institute, all elders and fellows. I'm so glad to see Baba out there when he said, we'll be at 90. Well, those of us on the 7th floor, we are looking forward to 8th floor and 9th floor. So Baba Kadiri, you are the senior on the 7th floor, and I congratulate you and join you. My prayer is that in the next few years, I will join you at 75. When I got to 70, I thought that was something up there. But when you see people like Baba Kadiri sitting here, you know that you have a long way to go. I'm not to talk of Baba who spoke just some few minutes ago. That meant that by the grace of God, we'll all get there. So distinguished sisters in professions, professional bodies, invited guests, esteemed colleagues, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, let me welcome us to this 12th Waheed Kadiri Lecture Series, a platform that has consistently promoted intellectual depth. And I'm saying this with a very high sense of responsibility. When I was visited by the TPL Waheed Kadiri and his group, you know that they brought me the compendium of lectures I've been given here. And I took time to read through them, scan through them, and they were diverse, varied, and in different forms. That shows that we have not caged ourselves just to one area, and we have ensured that the platform is for all professionals. It showed intellectual depth and gave me some time for professional reflection, and also told me and taught me that always been for national discourse. So this platform is unique and different from every other platform. Thank you for instituting this and keeping it on. Before I proceed, let me bring you warm greetings from Bells University of Technology, the first private university of technology in Nigeria, in Ota. Ably represented here by the principal officers, members of staff of the university, and a few of our alumni who are here seated. Bells Tech is an institution committed to innovation, scholarship, national development. Those are our core areas, and that has been our vision right from the beginning. And I've been there for 2 terms now. I can say that with a sense of responsibility. So I'm grateful for the opportunity to address all of us here today on the subject of pressing national importance. Permit me to welcome you all and sincerely appreciate the host NITP Ogun State chapter for sustaining this important and highly respected lecture series. Ladies and gentlemen, professional bodies, just like NITP, play a critical role in shaping policy and policies, and also practices and professional ethics in national development. This lecture series, in particular, has become a veritable platform for intellectual leadership and interdisciplinary engagement. So NITP Ogun State, I commend you a lot for your consistency, vision, and commitment to professional excellence. While going through the program there, I saw your vision, and that's highly commendable. Let's take it as a mandate for all of us. Having said that, the icon we are celebrating today, the 75-year young TPL Waheed Kadiri, I especially acknowledge you, sir, because this platform is in your name, and the completion of this platform has been tremendous. Very many have benefited from this. TPL Kadiri remained a steadfast supporter of our own university, Bells University of Technology, Ota, particularly of the Department of URP, Urban and Regional Planning, and specifically College of Environmental Sciences. His support has been demonstrated in diverse ways, financially, physically, morally, and socially. Often, at critical moments when these are necessary. And admirably too, these contributions are frequently offered voluntarily, without any formal prompting. Thank you very much. Those in the front, I think are clearing that. Rarely do people volunteer to do things except they are called upon. Baba Kadiri has always been there, not called upon, but will do it voluntarily. And that, to me, reflects a rare depth of commitment to institutional growth and academic advancement. Ladies and gentlemen, let me make some confession here. My schedule is exceptionally tight at this time, as we are rounding up the 10th year of our tenure in Bells University of Technology. So in the next 6 months, I shall be rotating out. So we are busy dotting our I's and crossing our T's. So responsibilities that demand a lot of things. However, ladies and gentlemen, I accepted to be here without hesitation, and I'm sure you can bear me witness when you came to visit. And that was largely influenced by TPL Kadiri's consistent and selfless support for Bells University of Technology, Ota. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, when individuals, and I want us to listen to this very well, when individuals invest so deeply in institutions, they create bonds that transcend convenience and obligations. They create bonds that transcend convenience and obligation. So, ladies and gentlemen, it is therefore both pleasure and responsibility to honor this invitation. So, to everyone here, I want to thank you for the invitation and thank Baba himself for this invitation, counting us worthy to present on this platform. When you are called to give a lecture, usually they can give you a topic. When you are giving a topic, it's quite easy. Just go straight into it. But when you are given a wide field, choose your own topic, it becomes very, very difficult. So you have to think through. Now, the topic of this lecture was motivated by 3 critical considerations, all grounded in urgency and professional responsibility. So first, is the current height of insecurity in Nigeria. And I'm glad that my schoolmate mentioned that very well. TPL Toya of VHS film. Thank you for doing what you are doing. Thank you for what you've done. And this has reached levels that now threaten social stability, economic productivity, and to a large extent, national cohesion. I'm not sure you agree with me on that. So that was the first thing that came to my mind. I can speak to this, look at it together, and go back and see exactly why this is happening. How did we get here? What did we do wrong? How did we do it wrong or wrongly? 2, my own profession as an engineer has shaped my understanding of how infrastructure influences security outcomes. And that's engineering. How does that affect security outcomes? The third reason is the fact that, well, I'm coming to speak to the TPLs, the town planners. And because it's been delivered on the platform of town planning, or URP, I needed to key into that. Let me digress a bit. That about 6 months ago, I was given the opportunity to give a lecture at the investiture of a chairman of ICANN. And I tried to get the nexus between engineering and accountancy. You see, we don't live in silos any longer. Our workplace spaces are no longer in silos. They are now borderless. And because they are borderless, we must work together. There must be a synergy between all professions. So again, the third thing is that, well, we come into town planning platform, something must be said along there. So how does engineering and town planning, or URP, come together to treat insecurity? Ladies and gentlemen, URP, urban and regional planning, shapes the spatial structure of cities and regions, while engineering provides the system that make these spaces functional and resilient. If you agree with that, just wave your hand. Thank you for agreeing with me. You deal with the spatial part, we deal with the infrastructural system. But one cannot live without the other. Ladies and gentlemen, what then is the objective or the purpose of this lecture? And I perceive that it is to move beyond the conventional framing of insecurity as solely a policing or military challenge. Now, don't get me wrong here. Absolutely, policing and military are very important. They are absolutely indispensable. But increasingly, most increasingly these days, it is becoming clear that security outcomes are shaped long before crimes occur. Security outcomes are shaped long before crimes occur. And I'll try to take us through a journey today so that this lecture seeks to demonstrate that prevention, resilience, and safety can be deliberately designed and built into our environment. Can be deliberately designed and built into our environment. Because we shape crimes before they come. We provide avenue for them to thrive. I know that most of us here who have land, you will agree with me that when you buy a plot of land, this saying, does that resonate? Not minding whose ox is God, we ensure we use everything. Whether we're blocking waterways, or blocking parts where security men can come in, or blocking people from even seeing the house. And when we were growing up in the 60s, we never knew high fences. There were no high fences. Most houses were built without fences at all. If they had fences, they were very low. They are for designs. They are to show that this man has arrived. And so, it's very easy to see a man break into a house from your own sitting room. To see a man who is intruding. So we have deliberately, intentionally provided avenue where criminals or crimes can thrive. If you disagree, just raise your hand. Now, if you agree, wave your hand too. If you agree, some are neutral. So this lecture will focus on 5 interconnected domains that are central to security outcomes. And they are transport infrastructure, energy systems, communication and surveillance infrastructure, URP, and inclusivity, community involvement. I call it inclusivity. My central argument today, is that insecurity is a multidimensional challenge that demands coordinated and integrated responses. Coordinated and integrated responses. And I foresee it again here that no single profession, institution, or agency can effectively address insecurity alone or in isolation. There must be a synergy. And I challenge you to challenge that. If there's one profession in this world that can tackle insecurity alone, well, the government knows better. Our commissioner is not around here. They know better now. That force is not the only one. It's not the only thing. There are other things that must be done. And thank you, TPL Ayinde. You thought 10 years ago, they didn't key into you. You had CCTV all over the place. They didn't allow it to work. They know better now. If it had worked, you're able to spot everybody along. That's part of my concluding matter today, that we need smart cities. So, ladies and gentlemen, by fostering synergy between engineers, planners, and policymakers and the community, Nigeria can deliberately, intentionally design, build more spaces that are safer, more resilient, and more inclusive. There are some areas in this country where, while passing through them, you just wonder whether these people know there's anything going on in Nigeria. They are not included in all this. To treat this topic very well, we need a conceptual framework, one that will link the built environment, infrastructure system, and spatial governance. Built environment, where we all stay, infrastructure systems, just like your CCTV and other things, light, communication, and governance. We need to link that to human behavior, social control, and then we'll get very good safety outcomes. Why do we have to do this? Because insecurity is not only a matter of criminal acts or deficit in law enforcement. Insecurity emerges from the way spaces are designed, maintained, and managed. Otherwise, why do you need master plan? The master plan is necessary so that you put a round peg in a round hole, a square peg in a square hole, and give room for several things. Planners have a lot of job to do. If you must prevent insecurity, we need you. Must prevent flood, we need you. Must prevent health hazards, we need you. So, that synergy is important. And that we design our spaces deliberately, intentionally, answering some questions that have not even arisen yet. So, security outcomes are shaped by interactions of this. Like I said, there are no silos. There are no silos. Next. Now there's a framework here. And on the right-hand side of that framework, and this one I'm going to speak to almost throughout, but let me give a gist of that. Structural and spatial factors are listed in there. And those are the factors that we need to look into. Pro-structural engineering, spatial, which is URP. We need to put this together and get a very safe environment. 3 parts in there: built environment, infrastructure, and spatial governance. These 3 factors on the right hand of that diagram tells it all. Built environment. What about our street layout? What about density of our houses? In which areas do we have the greatest insecurity? Fencing, like I mentioned earlier, and public spaces. Transportation these days, unfortunately, our roads are nothing to write home about. But where the roads are good, it's easy to escape. The major roads are good, maybe good, but internal roads, where the security operatives are supposed to move. In fact, sometimes we block the road and there's a close. We call it a close. And we are very proud to say that I live in a close. That close becomes a threat in the future. There's no escape. And engineering, you don't design without an emergency escape. There must be an emergency exit. So engineering comes in and tells us that. Lighting. Dark areas, obviously, insecurity thrives. Criminals thrive. We'll get back to that. What about our communication networks? The CCTV will have done very well. Telephones will do well. But sometimes you're in areas where there are no network. What happens? Well, I know that in some areas, well, around my area in Ogun, we put ourselves together and we got whistle for everybody. Once you start anything, blow the whistle, everybody blows the same whistle. So there's noise all over the place. There's spatial governance. That's inclusivity. We also are trying to take care of ourselves. There are barricades all over the place. So what am I trying to say? These are factors, structural factors, spatial factors that influence the outcome of security. So mediating factors are there. Natural surveillance and visibility helps. Not with our high walls anyway. Accessibility and mobility, they help. They mediate and they reduce insecurity. They reduce crime and reduce violence also. That's well stated in there. We'll be talking about them once in a while as we go on. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the built environment and security nexus is what I'm going to talk for first. There are three interrelated structural dimensions that define this nexus. The built environment design, infrastructure, system, and spatial governance. Quickly we move on because of our time. Now the built environment, we all will resonate with this very well. The physical configuration of streets, buildings, fences, and presence of public spaces determine the level of visibility. Well, those of us who have high fences now, it's the in thing now, sadly too. But sometimes I wonder, our forefathers never had fences. And they lived very well. Now look back yourself. When we started building these high fences, we isolated ourselves. So what is happening behind your wall, I do not know. And so you're on your own. I'm on my own. Accessibility and interactions, these have been limited, except you call landlord association meeting. You're on your own. So our built environment layouts that promote openness, moderate density, and shared spaces, enable natural surveillance, I mentioned that earlier, and collective responsibility. So we are our brother's keeper with those. Conversely, overcarried areas, opaque fencing, dead ends, the close we have, and poorly defined spaces encourage concealment and reduce informal monitoring. I'm sure we relate with this very well. You can almost feel it, you can almost see it. You see it every day, even though when you pass, you do not look. What about the infrastructure part of it? Now there are 4 things to look at: transport, energy, communication, and public facilities. Reliable roads gives room for escape, it enhances mobility and rapid response. And I see police cars reading rapid response squad. They can only be rapid if the roads are good. So reliable roads are required. Lighting improves visibility. Crimes or criminals. Crimes do not exist where there's bright light. Rarely. But nighttime, where there are darkness all over the place, our safety is not assured. Telecoms has helped us tremendously. It supports coordination, supports emergency response, like I mentioned. Your phone, you can call your friend. Some of us put off our phone in the night. Don't. Keep it on. Thank you, Registrar and Secretary Council. Functional public buildings. And let me delve a bit in here. Schools these days. And thank God for new governance these days. After school hours, the schools are empty. They don't even have windows anyway. The doors might be opened. So these miscreants, that's where they meet. That's where they plot who to attack next. That's an infrastructure failure. Public buildings must be secured. It must not be an avenue where miscreants can meet. Failure in that area generates isolation, darkness, and very weak oversight. Ladies and gentlemen, again, that second point tells you that insecurity is being programmed right from the beginning. It didn't just start. We created a venue for it. We gave it a fertile ground on which to exist. How do we go about that? We move on. Special governance, where most of us here are involved, the master plan. Uneven development. Inequities in this area, uneven development all over the place. Institutional neglect and weak planning. These amplify insecurity. And ladies and gentlemen, restricting the ability to for communities to engage in oversight, limiting effectiveness of policing and the emergency that we mentioned earlier. And then where you don't even have a presence, what do you do? Next. Now, meaning that addressing insecurity therefore requires attention not only to crimes, crime prevention, but also to some principles of social justice, equity, equality in distribution of structure, policing, security all over the place, and equitable development. Again, that's food for thought, as I put it separately. Ladies and gentlemen, let's step back a bit and look at insecurity itself. Strangely, they have a structure. It has patterns, and they have drivers of this insecurity. So to meaningfully engage that subject, we must appreciate these things. What is the scale? What is the complexity? What is the character that is evolving? I know that in the past, what we call insecurity now did not exist. It's about just bag snatching, pilfering, and the likes in the 60s or in the 50s. Now what we bother about but it has gradually developed and multiplied on the fertile grounds that we built. Roads, networks, they're all good. These three help situate insecurity within our borders, socioeconomic and political context. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I want to posit that insecurity today is not a single threat, but a convergence of several forms of violence, one reinforcing the other. What are these? We call them insecurity. Good. Before the war, the Biafran War, armed robbery was very rare. Very, very rare. They could break your window while you're away and cut away your things. But rarely do they come with guns. Immediately after the war, we got armed robbery coming in. And then they gathered together to form themselves to bandits. So they either rob, kidnap, or rob at the same time. And then they go into a larger group. Transnational terrorism comes in. And sadly, we are witnessing, it was very far in Maiduguri earlier. It is now coming closer to us. Our spaces, are they safe? Whatever we need to do to keep our spaces safe, they are necessary. Communal clashes exist. It is insecurity too. Some of them are resource-based. There's gold here. There's bauxite here. There are other things elsewhere. And we start quarreling. But there are drivers of this. Poverty. It's a driver of this. That's governance. Unemployment all over the place. And the very weak governance. This, and then what we call environmental stress, which we create ourselves, are drivers of insecurity. And this creates a vicious cycle that undermines national cohesion, public trust in everywhere, in all institutions, state institutions, and the likes. Let's look at some data, and I'm sure some of us know this. The NHRC, National Human Rights Commission, that in April alone last year, there were 570 killings, 278 kidnappings, April alone. And in February, 12 days, within 12 days, there were 144 fatalities and 143 kidnappings. 12 days. That's an average of 12 per day. An average of 12 fatalities per day. Average of 12 kidnappings per day. That's one too many. Humangol also mentioned. They even mentioned for three months, that's a quarter. The details are in that book. I'm just skipping through them. There are many more details in there. We took time to do some survey of that. 1,420 fatalities in a quarter. 537 kidnappings in one quarter during the first quarter of last year. And the worst of all came June last year. That was the highest recorded last year. 1,100 deaths, 276 abductions. When I say abductions, pockets of abductions, 276 of them. That opens our mind to the extent to which we need to think and how important insecurity is and how far it has gone. Ladies and gentlemen, let's go beyond numbers. Even geographic locations and variations in them affect insecurity. In the urban centers, we know that. I'm sure TPL, when you were thinking of the CCTV, just because some areas are not accessible physically, because we have clustered ourselves together. There are slums all over the place. Why did that happen? Sometimes we ask ourselves, who approved the plans? We approved the plans. Who built the spaces for them? We. Where do we come in? Some level of integrity needs to come into that. In our centers, we have abandoned buildings, congested corridors, informal transport hubs, Okada hubs all over the place, Marwa hub all over the place, unplanned. And nobody bothers them. Even within the periphery of the towns, the peri-urban towns, areas.
Rapidly expanding fridges, they learn formal governance. Nobody controls the pocket. That's about to
Do that. And the worst aspect are the rural areas. And please look back again. What we read in papers or hear over the news, the attacks are usually at the rural centers around. And I give this straight thing. My late sister lived in Maiduguri. And each time we read news about insurgency, about killings, I will call her. I hope they are safe. One day she'd call me and say, but how do you think they will kill me? Nothing is happening here. We were okay. Meaning that those at the actually we are not feeling it, but those at the rural setting around who are not taken care of, where there is inequity in provision of public facilities, suffer more. Unfortunately, it is even moving from the rural to the urban. It's a gradual process. It's a cancer that's gradually growing. Again, what are things that limit this? Well, SCLED stated or reported that there is a systemic weakness and there are critical enablers of violence. What are these systemic weaknesses? You can see them there. Inadequate infrastructure, poor intelligence gathering. It will be poor if your CCTV was working. They don't even need to get up. Or they sit there, look at it. And sometimes when we watch it happen in other climes, when the robbery occurs, they will trace that person. You will see the pictures. They will give you the footages until that person is picked up. I wonder how many of our bandits have been picked up. Wonder how many of the robbers have been picked up, except they are lucky to pick one. Limited mobility, our routes aren't good. Sadly also, the police or the agency, other agencies now use the bad portion of the road to stop us. We were looking for good roads. Even the bad portion, that's where they stop. We lay you. But they also will lay you to do that. But that's on a lighter note. Or if the roads are good, it will not be a weakness. It's a major weakness that the roads are not good. There is weak coordination across jurisdictions. Weak coordination. And I challenge you to look at that. Even the military effort, is it well coordinated? Even the policing effort, is it well coordinated? These are systemic weaknesses, and they are reported on a regular basis. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, it is from this expanded understanding, and I'm sure I've made it very clear, we have seen clearly insecurity and other things, that I want to argue that we need to do a strategic rethinking that deliberately, intentionally, consciously integrates engineering systems and spatial planning into our security architecture or security thinking. Right? Strategic rethinking, we have to think backward again and think forward. I don't know which is which. It's when an elder falls. What does he do? He looks back. It's only when the small children fall that they look forward. But we'll do both. We'll look backward with the view of looking forward. So we must do a rethinking, strategically, knowing where the gaps are, filling the gaps, and deliberately and intentionally, consciously integrating our engineering system and the spatial planning, which you all do. So you cannot stand in isolation. Into our security architecture, security thinking, security whatever. We must build this in. Only then can we move from reactive crisis management. Reactive, it has started, so we have to react. Trump has to come and help us. Others have to come and help us. To proactive risk reduction. It is that proactivity that we need to do. Our spaces have to be properly planned, intentionally planned, with security and safety in mind. That's when we can have a safer Nigeria. Where the roads are bad, interior roads, they must be put together. Where we also have blocked the roads in the name of close, we need to open them. Only then also shall we move from fragmented intervention. You intervene in Niger today. Tomorrow you go and intervene in Sokoto. Next tomorrow you go to Benue. Another time you go to Kwara. There are spots. Nobody's bothering about us down here now. We need to. So that we don't do fragmented interventions, we must move to coordinated spatial strategies. Coordinated, put together, taken together, thought out together, so that the outcomes will be good. And whenever a new area has been developed, we must move from short-term containment to long-term resilience. We must plan ahead. Must plan ahead. Ladies and gentlemen, engineering systems, I will skim through this quickly, that our professional practice, that evidences have shown that engineering infrastructure actively shape how we move, how we interact, and how we feel safe. You need to agree with that. If that is so, then that means our transport network must be good. Our energy and lighting must be excellent. Communication networks must be put in place. And the public facilities, we must take ownership of them. There must be state presence everywhere. There must be social cohesion. We must stick together. When this fails, when these systems are poorly designed or inadequately maintained or even unevenly distributed, they create vulnerabilities that criminal actors often can exploit, and may exploit. I'm sure you agree the details of that are there. For the roads, we can see them there. Our road designs must be proper to maintain connectivity so that we can influence both lawful mobility and keep criminal tendencies low. If you know you can catch them easily, they will not come. We must maintain them. Energy and lighting must be there. There are obvious situations. Power instability within the country, something must be done. We have abundance of sun, light. We must key into that. Lighting failures also undermines public confidence in people. Communication system, that is so obvious now and so important now for everyone. And it keeps us on. Our public facilities I mentioned earlier, the schools, markets, parks, terminals, they symbolize governance. They symbolize the fact that government is thinking of you. When these are neglected, they become crime magnets. Schools that are not well kept at night attract criminals. Markets that are not well protected attract criminals all over. We must not neglect them, and we must maintain them. Spatial planning and designs. Now, I'm sure some of us, and please pardon some of us here, when we were in the universities, we see urban and regional planners always drawing. They have their big sheets. They are drawing one thing or the other. Architects are there drawing lines. And some of us ask them, just keep on drawing lines. We know better now. The lines they were drawing then, to ensure that towns are well planned, cities are well planned, and we didn't use them, are now haunting us today. If we had listened, if we had allowed them to do their work properly, insecurity would be less, would have been less. I'm sure many of us have gone outside the country. We know. Their spaces are well planned. And our children are running away. And the question I ask them is, I tell them this, somebody developed that place. Somebody designed it. Come back, design, and put it in place. So, the URP and architecture are not just technical exercises. They shape the very safety of our environment. I thought you would clap for yourselves. How settlements are laid out, how streets connect, and how land is used. That was your job. That is your job. That will continue to be your job. And this determines who can move freely, who is visible, and who controls the space. It's so obvious, so ordinary, and you think it's easy to come by, but we have neglected this, and this is haunting us. spatial planning and urban reform and vulnerabilities, land use configuration, which is part of our job. When this is poorly integrated, it generates uneven activity patterns, gives us high permeability, combined with low visibility, becomes insecurity. You become insecure, you're not safe. When you can't even see afar. However, regulated mixes of this will enhance our safety, good visibility, and that same permeability, where you can easily escape, put together, mixed together, will give us better safety, increased safety, and safer Nigeria. Informality and governance failure. Well, I cannot overflog this. Informal settlements reflects regulatory incapabilities. Irregular layouts also restricts emergency exits. We said that. But there must be social cohesion. If there's social cohesion will come together, then insecurity reduces and security becomes stronger. Peripheral expansion, I mentioned earlier, outside urban centers, these areas are ungoverned at all, completely. And when that happens, fragmented language come in. There is weak connectivity without institutional presence. Well, peripheral residents experience higher vulnerability. I think we said that. Even between borders, Niger and Kebbi State is a critical example. The bandits from Niger go to Kebbi State to strike and come back to Niger to state. So even within our borders, they are so porous, they are ungoverned. I don't know whether all of us have thought of this. How can you take 100 people and march them out and nobody has seen you? Honestly, it beats my imagination. If 10 of us will walk out, they will know that people are walking around. 100. Again, that shows that governance is weak, is lacking, is not existent at all. It is an institutional weakness. And then when they are gone, when these 100 or 200 have been taken away, then we start shooting our guns and look for them. We must have inter-border relationship, cross-border relationship, cross-border planning. And that's why we're not called only town planners, but regional planners. So you must plan the regions that annex each other. Ladies and gentlemen, let's rush quickly. There are evidences within this country that we can look at. Our highway decays, some evidences, just let's look at them quickly. Our crime corridors for kidnapping. If our highways deteriorate with little potholes, and I digress a bit here where engineering comes in. Those who have stayed outside, I know on a regular basis, while I was outside the country, you sleep at night, by the time you wake up next morning, the front of your house has been resurfaced. And they do that every 5 years. So their roads never have potholes. Maintenance is important. When the roads are bad, kidnapping takes place, banditry takes place. Lighting failures. BRT terminal in Tafawa Square. 72 people were arrested once, and it's in that write-up. If a terminal of that level can harbor criminals, then what do we think of little hubs all over. There's need for ensuring that lighting is increased, particularly for night time. The silent gaps, which are areas where our networks do not work. Bokos in Plateau State. Bokos in Plateau State and Mangu, the networks aren't good. And so kidnapping and banditry is the order of the day. Even when they are finally able to climb the tree to send the message, it is too late. I have a cousin who normally is a ballet somewhere in the place. Whenever he wants to call me, he has to go to his farm and climb the tree to call me. Now, if something is wrong with him, how do I know? Silent gaps must be eradicated. Our networks must intertwine to do this. Abandoned buildings, even in places like FCT, Lugbe, Karmo, and Idu, you can check them up, they are properly listed. Abandoned buildings, shelter criminals. And I know as a kid, when I was going to school, my dad would tell you, don't pass through, there's an uncompleted building around, don't come through that. It's the shortest path to my school. But no, you can't go through that way. You must go through the long route. Abandoned buildings are haven for criminals. Then unplanned areas, unmapped areas, ungoverned areas, even as far as Maraba, massacre in the FCT, areas like that, they are documented. Peripheral ones also, Lagos. Lagos growth in Lagos is spreading beyond the central. And some areas there need to look, they become slums. A growth of slums in Lagos. And porous borders, Kano and Katsina, Kebbi and Niger. The borders are very porous. Between Katsina and Kano states, you can move without being checked, except for immigration and custom. And all they want to do is check what you are looking for. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, these patterns reveal predictable relationship between infrastructure deficit, spatial planning, and violence or insecurity. If you agree, can we wave our hands if you agree? Thank you. So what's the next step? Next step is to articulate practical strategies through which engineering and planning can jointly contribute to safer environment and safer Nigeria. An integrated approach which recognizes that security outcomes emerge from coordinated design, regulation, and management of physical spaces, infrastructure, and social systems. I posit that's what we need to know and what we need to do. Ladies and gentlemen, let's look at some 6 pillars quickly. 6 pillars quickly. Security-oriented, next slide. Transport design. This gives resident pavements. When we design properly as engineers, and the pavements are good, then there will be easy movement, clear sighting, regulated access, corridor zoning, and emergency lay-by. There will be no clusters at all. Sometimes I wonder whether we design our internal roads. All we bother are the highways,
The internal roads must be properly designed and well planned and well laid out. Every town should have a master plan. Every city should have a master plan in which you include lighting and energy. Solar systems are available now, such that we do not need to depend too much on this. I'm sure if solar energy had been used for the CCTV, it may be working till date. We need to go back to that. Communication networks are important. Smart spatial arrangement or management can help us map crime, monitor assets, and have decision dashboards we can look at. And finally have an ethical framework. That's management. That's the smart part, which I'm sure was planned in Lagos, which that continued. Our security operatives must govern the entire environment. Now, I said at the beginning that they are absolutely necessary. So community mapping must be done. We should co-design the processes together, maintain partnership, and local surveillance plus state surveillance. Institutional safeties are necessary. Standards must be done. Mandatory risk assessment. We must revise our manuals regularly. Sometimes we stick to the old order, and the criminals are moving faster than we think. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, there should be some policy and reform pathways. Let me again commend you, sir, for your CCTV. That the design-led security paradigm must be done. Security must be mainstreamed into spatial design and infrastructural planning. Go together, network together, synergize. Integration into development planning, this should be done. EIA and even risk analysis must be done. EIAs are good and they help us. Security analysis, risk analysis must also be embedded. We must be data-driven. One thing that is absent in this country, or not properly utilized in this country, is data. And honestly, if you plan using a wrong data, you won't get the right results. Those who are asked to collect data, falsify data. They don't give you any data and then you go ahead. I think you are doing something very nice. You've poured over your books, done all the planning based on wrong data. So we must ensure that we are data-driven. Special areas must be designed. Excuse me. Using data that are properly collected and put together. My concluding synthesis. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, sustainable security to get a safer Nigeria requires preventive spatial design. Very intentional, very deliberate, and conscious. Requires resilient infrastructure, structure that can withstand, that will give us high level of security. All institutions must come together, coordinate, use each other's strength to give us a safer Nigeria. And as professionals, let's learn to be accountable. While being accountable, we'll be dependable. While being dependable will be very, very reliable. So as professionals, engineers, town planners, let accountability be our watchword. One thing that must not be left out is inclusivity. Community participation is absolutely necessary. You can't leave me out when planning for me. You must think about me while planning. So our safety must be in that direction. So every planning and engineering decision has long-term security consequences. All things we are doing have long-term consequences. And by institutionalizing safety as a development value, Nigeria can transition from crisis management to resilience building. Thank you, and God bless you.
Standing ovation with a round of applause. We may all be seated. Thank you very much. Thank you, sirs. Thank you, Mars. The convener and his amiable wife, past president of NITP here present, president and past president of our TopCon here present, the guest speaker of the 12th edition Waheed Kadiri Lecture Series, Professor Engineer Jeremiah Oludele Ojediran, FNSSE, the Vice Chancellor, the Best University of Technology, Ota, and his entourage, fellows, elders of our great institutes, all guests of honor here present, past chairman of NITP, past chairman of associations in the built environment here present, elders of our great chapter, invited guests and representatives of Lions Club, Dawa Front, NASFAT, Ahmadiyya, and all associations here present, men of the press, TVC, AIT, Galaxy TV, and all men of print media and online media, we welcome you to this 12th edition of Waheed Kadiri Lecture Series. A round of applause for ourselves one more time. While the lecture was going on, please prepare for your questions and answers, remarks and observations as regards to this lecture, while I quickly do a few. We have retired but not tired permanent secretaries in our midst. Tambrana, Mrs. Yetunde Olubukola, Dean Fellow of the Institute. A round of applause for her, please. Retired permanent secretary, special advisor, Tambrana Abiodun Stephen Adewolu, FNITP here present. In absentia, architect Tokumbo Fowode, FNIAE, former rector Mapoli. A round of applause for him, please. Professor Bamidele Badejo, FNITP. A round of applause for him, please. Tampana Fellow and Mrs. Ayo Adediran, retired permanent secretary, Lagos State. A round of applause for him, please. Former TopCon president, Tampana BC Adedire, fellow of the State. A round of applause for him, please. Our own SSA to the governor, Tampana Kamoru Ogun, fellow of the institute. A round of applause for him. All the way from Oyo State, Ibadan, we have the following members: Tamplana Dr. Duro Ogunsesan, fellow of the institute; Professor Waheed Bola, of the institute; all past chairmen from Oyo State chapter; Director of Town Planning Services, Uthman Hafiz, Town Planner, you are welcome. The PRS of Oyo State chapter, Town Planner Adediji Mustafa, you are all welcome. All our TopCon from Lagos State chapter, all our TopCon from Ogun State chapter, All our top come from Oyo State chapter. Please, you are all celebrated. A round of applause for you all. The owner of this vehicle, Toyota Corolla APP 585. There is no CCTV outside. Your vehicle is being towed right now. Please go outside and repark. I repeat, Toyota Corolla red, Lagos number APP 585GA. Please, your attention is urgently needed. Do we have responses, comments from the lecture, please? PRS, your microphone. We have 5 minutes for this presentation, please. Questions, comments, observations, additions, subtraction. What the VC has presented, I know there is no
Thank you very much.
Your name and
Yes.
where you are reporting from.
Thank you very much. I am Dr. Kushimo Adeye Rabiu. I want to congratulate the organizers of this program, and I also want to congratulate His Eminence, Al-Hajj Abdul Waheed Kadiri, that this is happening in his own lifetime. When I grow older, I want to be like you, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, we have listened to a presentation that touches the heart and further confirms that the nation, every fabric of this nation is likely to be in trouble. We are fully compromised from all angles. But there's no better time to say this than now, because we have here, at the head of the academia, the Vice Chancellor of a university who delivered this lecture. We have here professionals, engineers, builders, and all of them present here. We also have here agents of government. I want to proceed as follows. That there is no better insecurity than when you are inside your house and you are not secured. You are traveling on the road, you are not secured. Some people have done this job. Some people have constructed the roads. Some people have designed the house and constructed it. Can we, at the end of this lecture, ladies and gentlemen, and the guest speaker, please, can we reach out with a louder voice to the agents of construction to live up to the ethics of the profession? Number one. Number two, can we find a way of bringing those involved in failed construction edifices to justice? Number three, can we reach out to professional institutions to withdraw membership certification from erring professionals? Number four, can we reach out to the legislative units of our nation, the houses of assembly, to put in place, to enact laws in the direction of the huge message that you have passed to us here today, our guest lecturer. Thank you very much. I will see you here next year.
Thank you. Two more. Town Planner Abiodun Stephen Adewolu, Fellow of the Institute.
Thank you, sir. Prof, I'm actually very impressed with you, and I was privileged to be in a meeting with Baba when Professor Bamidele from Manchester University came to your university, and I was bringing him back. I cannot say more than what he has said. You are wonderful. I'm not in a position to actually go through and criticize your presentation. In the first instance, you said it is multifaceted. First instance, you agree it is multifaceted. Able to summarize it. Your emphasis is more what I will use now, kinetic aspects, that is engineering and spatial planning, because they are physical. The non-kinetic aspect was more or less set aside. One of the non-kinetic aspects is urbanization and population increase, which is abnormal in this country. Where you get population under control, they have minimal population. The other one is that most of the products of the universities, not even say the secondary school, they are now riding Okada because they don't have gainful employment. And the Okada is a nuisance, a serious security threat to all and sundry. Whether they hit you or you hit them, you are in problem. They use them for criminal purposes. One is in problem. I'm trying to write a book on that, and by the grace of God, our God will enable me to do so. Now, again, maybe I did not hear you tactically, because as a professor, did not talk about political will. There are special planning with road infrastructures in hierarchical formats, which, if it is properly developed and implemented, all those issues may probably be put at bay. But that one is supported with what town planner Tonya just said. 10 years after they expended United Nations or World Bank money, which they are paying back, to produce CCTV in Lagos. Not only, we are not using that in Lagos, even in Abuja, it's dormant. Be trafficator, tí o lè point Morara is of no use. 10 years is ridiculous. So that's one, again, explain to us that it is lack of political will, or say it, corruption, whichever way. Without that, we are in a serious problem. Population is growing abnormally. We don't even know how many we are. If you bisect from Abeokuta now, maybe Idiaba to Shakpon, you see the Okadas. You will see population of students. No plan for them. That means that security we are talking about, it is a serious danger in the future. I think, sir, you should be able to tell us what and where government should come into this issue. Because it is the government. We elected them. They said they are serving us. So that they cannot just turn their eyes on the other side. Without that, nobody is safe. Thank you very much, and wonderful lecture you have given to us.
Thank you, sir.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Shina Adepoju from Bells University, Ota. I cannot ask my Vice Chancellor any question. My own is just a comment. All over the place, when a building is springing up, you see red mark, stop work. Tomorrow, you still work, still going on. And after some time, somebody somewhere will say, this thing is an illegal building, but nothing will happen. What is the institute doing, or what will the institute do to stop this practice? Thank you.
Thank you. Let's listen to remarks. Our online community have questions too. Permit me to just read a few. The organizer of this Waheed Kadiri annual lecture have really done well, having come this far. I will advise they come up with impacts of the lecture series on our practices and policies makers, particularly the operators above boards. This year's paper has no doubt exposed the dearth in our urban space and presented solutions to and how to ameliorate these problems. We should therefore take the paper as a working document for all our collective gains. Thank you for your time and attendance. From Town Planner Peter Oneleye, Fellow of the Institute from Lagos. A round of applause for online community. Our guest speaker, please, you have the floor.
Well, thank you very much for your reactions and your comments. I'm glad you asked questions. What I would have thought I spoke to the world. Thank you so much. Thank you for coming up with the area of justice and so on. I touched them. And I'm sure that if you look at the volume of write-up we did, I stuck to the kinetic aspect. I left the non-kinetic. Because if I have to go through all that, then it will be a large volume. And I will not be able to treat all in depth as much as I did. So I agree with you that I stuck to the kinetic. Now, our professional bodies should learn to give sanctions and stick by those sanctions. They should sanction them. We should. For instance, a building that collapses, who designed it? Who engineered it? Who did this? If it's sanctioned, next time we'll be able to stand on our toes. I agree with you, sanctions must be there. Political will, absolutely. I mentioned it in passing, and that's governance. When we talk of governance, the political will must be there to be able to do justice to pure governance. Otherwise, how would they not provide security all over the place? Well, we will not have our space being well governed. And I asked you some questions. How many bandits have been arrested? We have not arrested any. Or rather, we don't park people on the street who are jobless. So I think it's something for all of us to really think about and look into what we do. Now, as an academician, you mentioned something. Unemployment, I mentioned. What are we doing as educators? These days, we are teaching soft skills. We should make them be able to create jobs rather than seek for jobs. And that's what BELS does. During SWEP and SIWES, we ensure our students learn on the hand jobs doing. They can then go out and establish their own. All institutions in this country must move away from the regular curricula and go into curriculum that will help them be able to stand on their own. I'm sure that's what we need for now. Well, multifaceted, so be it. Insecurity is multifaceted. It's not a one-way affair. Thank you very much.
A round of applause for our guest speaker. Peradventure, you still have comments, contribution. Please visit the office of the Vice Chancellor, the best University of Technology, Alta, Ogun State. A round of applause one more time. We have a very important announcement as regards the collated Waheed Kadiri Lecture Series, Volume 1. We have from the first lecture series to the last one, which is the 11th lecture series, put together in this book. And the title is Reflection on Development, Governance and Society, the Waheed Kadiri Lecture Series, Volume 1. We have copies available for you to pick before you go home. Please, the account number will be displayed on the screen. Please make that transfer. It is just 15,000 naira token, highly subsidized. A round of applause for the convener, please. It's now time to invite the convener and wife while the cake is being presented before us. Ladies and gentlemen, you all know the celebrant of today, and within 5 to 10 minutes, we want to celebrate him. We want to sing a song, Happy Birthday, in his honor.
we also want to cut the birthday cake. Please, can we move this cake forward, please? Ushers, if you are above If you are above 75 years old, please be seated. If you are below 75, please be upstanding. The celebrant be seated, the wife be seated. In planning, there is what we call public participation. What did I say? Public participation. And we want to eulogize the celebrant this afternoon for clocking the age of 75. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, you know his profile, but I want you and I together to look at the chronicles of Waheed Kadiri. I call it the alphabet A to Z of Alhaji Kadiri. Within 5 minutes, please. Letter A is Ayinla Amiru Alhaji Awodi from Ota, and it's the distinguished author. Please, a round of applause for him. Brilliant, a brand that needs to be exalted is Baba Ibeji, the chairman of all chairmen, the convener of Waheed Kadiri Lecture, the campus planner, the dependable designer, the Diamond Jubilee at 75, the defender of this planning profession, the district governor of Lions, and our past and member of Dawa Front, erudite scholar, epitome of professional excellence, daring and doing. Is a father, is a fellow, is a family man. He is a giver, a governor general, a guru, a global giant, and a giver. Ladies and gentlemen, he's an investor of minds, an husband to Alhaja Fatima, and is a resource person. An intercessor at 75. You need to see this man. He continues to pray and pray for his mentee. An intelligent man, an influencer man. Ladies and gentlemen, this man is the juggernaut or in the fields of planning. Ladies and gentlemen, he is Kadiri. He is kind. He is a lion. He is a leading leader and a legend. A mentor of mentors. Master planner, a motivator. He's a numero uno. Ladies and gentlemen, he's from Alta, Ogun proper, outstanding Olori Ebi General. Ladies and gentlemen, he's President General, a planner, a pesetter, and a philanthropist. A quintessential planner, a qualified professional. Rector of notes, a researcher, a Rotarian, rich in wisdom and understanding. Ladies and gentlemen, look at him. He is sincere, he is chic, soft-spoken, 75, septuagenarian, and a storyteller. He is a transport expert. He is a time-conscious man. He is a teacher. He is a town planner. Ladies and gentlemen, he is unbiased critic, unstoppable, unique man, and an urban planner. He is a visionary leader, very vast, valuable asset in planning. He is Waheed, workaholic, a wonderful writer. Ladies and gentlemen, he is zenial, youthful, zealous, and zealous. Ladies and gentlemen, the celebrant, Alhaji Waheed Ayinla Kadiri at 75. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, happy birthday, happy birthday to you. For he is a jolly good, for he is a jolly good, for he is a jolly good fellow. And so say all, and so say all of us, 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 for he is a jolly good, for he is a jolly good, for he is a jolly good fellow. And so, hip, hip, hip. Dr. Salisu, please step forward. Hip, hip, hip. One more time. Hip, hip, hip. Ladies and gentlemen, a round of applause for Dr. Salisu as he moderates the session.
Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, when the lecture was going on, the lecturer, I observed, carried us all along with him. Because I've seen situations like this, when the lecturer finishes, he will look at the audience. The next thing he will address them, instead of saying distinguished audience, he will say extinguished audience. But he carried us along, and nobody was extinguished throughout the lecture. So the assignment is I'll cut the cake. You know now, why you look at me? You're going to cut the cake. Hey, wait now. So Alhaji Waheed will hold the knife. Alhaja Fatima will hold Waheed's hand, not the knife now. Hold Waheed's knife. And wait now. Why are you in a hurry? I'm giving you instructions. Share time. Don't worry. So then I will just say, Bismillah ar-Rahman. Wait now. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Oh yeah, Alhaji, your hand. Alhaja, your hand. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Yes, congratulations. We'll be there, we'll be here again and again and again by the grace of the Almighty God.
Group photographs with the celebrant. The guest speaker, please. Guest speaker, please. State Chairman, NITP. Past President. Past President. All donations for this book should be sent to Access Bank. Please, let's write it down. Access Bank. Account number 0022294902. Access Bank 0022294902. Waheed Kadiri. Past presidents of NITP to please join the photographs. Past presidents. Past president of NITP. Past president of Atopcon. President of Atopcon. Eba was transfer owó kíákíá I need to. The entourage of the Vice Chancellor, please step forward for photographs. The entourage of the Vice Chancellor. Past President of NITP, please step forward. Entourage of the VC. Entourage of the VC, please. All invited guests, guests of honor, the guest of honor, Rector, we thank you so much, thank you so much. Fellows of the Institute, fellows and elders of the Institute, please step forward. Fellows and elders of the Institute. All the educators in the house, be prepared. All planning educators, fellows of the Institute, elders, all elders, SSA to the governor, permanent secretaries, retired permanent secretaries, serving permanent secretaries, all fellows of the Institute and elders, all fellows of the Institute, are you done? Let's be seated, let's be seated. The celebrant with Lions Club.
Tell them, Lions are coming. This is another place. They will start watching them. Lions.
Okay.
Lions are coming.
Lions, be prepared. Start coming out. Lions. After Lions, Dawa front. Tamplana Toba Oyebanji, Secretary at Topcon Lagos State Chapter, you're welcome. Lions Club. In Lionism. Please. Together. All lions in the house. Dawa front, NASFAT. Dawa front and NASFAT. Please, if you are the owner of this vehicle, Ogun, AAB 901TT. Ogun, AAB 901TT. Please go and repark urgently. NASFAT, Dawa front. Town planner, Pastor Luke Adebola Adelaja, fellow of the Institute, thank you for your support always. Mapama, Lions Club, Dawa Front, AWTPN, YPF, please take photographs with the celebrants. AWTPN, YPF, please take your turn right now. WAC mentees, please. The stage is yours.